Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new around here, my name is Blair Lamb and I'm so glad that you're here. Today I'm doing something I've never done before in all my years on YouTube. I'm doing a more personal, more juicy Q&A. The reason why I wanted to do this type of Q&A today is because it's just a little something different. I've done lots of Q&As over the years and this one is just gonna dive a little deeper than those other ones have in the past. And also because the sponsor of this video is a more personal, more intimate type of product. Today's video sponsor is organic and they make 100% organic cotton tampons, pads, and liners, and they are great. Great. I received a package from the company a few months ago so that I could give all of their products a really good shot over the course of multiple cycles. And I have just completely fallen in love with their products and I'm super excited to share them with you today. So Organic is collaborating with me and sponsoring this video as a part of their Expect Respect campaign, and this is a 3-part campaign. So the first way that they are respecting women's bodies is by creating 100% certified organic cotton inside and out tampons and pads and biodegradable liners. This is not like those products that claim to be organic, but it's just the very top layer. These are through and through 100% organic, which leads us to point number 2, which is incredible, which is that these products have actually been clinically proven to resolve and protect against skin irritation while maintaining great absorbency. As I mentioned earlier, I've had the chance to try out these products over the course of the past few months, and I have been extremely impressed. Anyone who's been around my channel for any amount of time knows that I have extremely sensitive skin. From the top of my head to the bottom of my feet, I just am a very sensitive skin person, and these are wonderful. They really make a huge difference, and I won't go too much into detail, but I feel like you definitely need to give them a try if you are someone who is prone to irritation. And if you are a postpartum mom or if you are pregnant and expecting, this is what you want in your postpartum basket, in your bathroom, in your stash. This is what you want. You don't want to be putting any kind of synthetic material next to such a tender part of your body, especially after just giving birth. I highly recommend stocking up on these products. They are all available on Amazon, which I will link below. Truly, I've been very impressed with them. The third part of the Expect Respect campaign is the Expect Respect initiative, which provides free feminine care products to women all over the world through local food banks. This is just a company that I really believe in. I really like their mission. I love what they stand for, and obviously the products speak for themselves. I have been so happy with them. So I definitely recommend giving them a shot. My personal experience has been absolutely 10 out of 10, and I love that you can grab them on Amazon. They're available in a lot of other stores as well, but it's so easy just to set like a subscribe and save on Amazon and get them delivered right to your doorstep. So thank you to Organic for sponsoring this video. Let's jump into the juicy Q&A. Okay, so the first question I'm going to answer, which was asked in about 15 different ways, was how do Riley and I maintain this spark, find time for romance, find time for intimacy? Side note, if you didn't already catch on, this video is probably something to watch like with your AirPods in or while you're alone. This probably isn't like a family video. Anyway, lots of people ask, how do you keep this spark alive? How do you find time to have sex and be intimate in a physical way when you've got kids hanging on you all day and you're just like exhausted and touched out? All kinds of questions like that. And it's such a good question because it's such a real reality. It is such a real reality. We were married for 4 years before we had our kids, and it was never an issue, right? Like it was just so easy, and there was no such thing as bedtime or anything like that. So when the mood struck, we were like good to go. And then babies come into the picture and everything changes. Something that we have really noticed and that we work on is we find that if we maintain an emotional connection as much as possible and we keep our lines of communication open from an emotional standpoint, that emotional intimacy makes physical intimacy more frequent and just easier. I feel like there become barriers when there haven't been a lot of conversations, when communication doesn't feel very open, when we feel like we are two ships passing in the night, both of us just trying to get everything done on our to-do list and take care of the kids. I find that physical intimacy then becomes more challenging because we're just kind of in our own worlds. So we do silly things like send each other funny memes or TikToks, things like that. We text throughout the day. When I'm at home with the kids, I send pictures of the kids and tell Riley what we're up to. We keep in touch with each other in that way, just in a very like casual sense, day to day. We also have really prioritized date nights in 2023. So we hire babysitters as often as possible so that we can go out, mostly on Friday or Saturday nights, and get some time, just the two of us, you know, where we're not cutting up little pieces of chicken and we're not cleaning it up off the floor and we're not doing potty breaks in the middle of dinner, where we're really able to focus on one another and really have conversations, you know, one-on-one. We also have had to get really good about having conversations about sex and about intimacy. And that's something that we didn't necessarily have to have a whole lot before. And with kids, everything's just a little more complicated. Schedules are more complicated, timing's more complicated, exhaustion levels are more complicated. And so being able to be really open with one another about expectations, about desires, about all of that has worked wonders for us. It's just been awesome reconnecting with each other after feeling like for the past few years with very small babies, we were just in the trenches. And y'all, there were some dry spells. I think most married couples can relate, especially in pregnancy, in the young years. I mean, I had zero sex drive through either pregnancy and postpartum and nursing. And now I'm finished nursing and I feel like myself again. And that part of our marriage has really picked up again. And it's been so much fun to rediscover each other in that way after a few years of it being more of a challenge, you know? So solidarity, because this is not something that's talked about a lot, but sex is such a real part of marriage, and it's such a challenging part of marriage when there's little kids and babies and body changes and postpartum. And I had postpartum depression and anxiety both times. And then with Colin, I had really bad prenatal depression and anxiety while I was pregnant. All of that doesn't add up to feeling like you want to like have a little rendezvous, you know? So addressing those things one by one and slowly kind of sorting them out has been a game changer for our marriage. Along the same lines, I had a couple of people ask how to keep the spark alive when you're trying to conceive. And I understand that feeling so deeply. With Colin, we got pregnant right away and it wasn't like a long-term process. But Nora, it took us like about 14 months of trying to get pregnant with her. And let me just tell you, it starts to feel like a science experiment. It feels a lot more like, I don't know how to say it, like a science experiment rather than this like spontaneous, free loving, intimate moment. And it just is, it's not a good feeling to feel like your intimacy with your partner is a science experiment. I would say, if at all possible, if you have it within you, to take a break from tracking ovulation and ovulation strips and all of that for a month or two and just take a breath. I find that kind of resets a lot of that. But like overall, I totally understand. And I have been there and we have been there as a couple, and it's not a fun place to be. I'm sorry that you're there, because it's definitely really challenging when you really want to be pregnant, but you also want to keep this spice alive and you don't want it to feel truly like, you know, it's some kind of science experiment. It's no fun at all. Someone said, what changed for you most postpartum? A lot of things, everything. My body is just so different now than it was before I had kids. I weigh probably 30 to 40 pounds more now than I did before I had kids. My body's like shape is, I'm just differently shaped. And that is something that's weird to get used to feel like you're living in someone else's skin and trying to kind of like understand how to live in this new different body that feels different. And so that is one thing to say. And the other thing to say is I have never felt more womanly, more comfortable in my skin, more confident in my skin, more secure in my skin as I do now. It's this like whole societal thing of like, the less you weigh, the better you'll feel. And that's just a load of not truth. That's just not true. For me, I feel more womanly and more comfortable and confident now than I did before I had kids, which was a real surprise to me. I would not have guessed that that would be the case. I also would not have guessed how heavily I would struggle after both kids with just severe postpartum depression and anxiety. Postpartum mood disorders are extremely common. They actually really run in my family. And so it wasn't something that was like totally shocking, but the depth of the depression and the anxiety, I think, were surprising to me. Like, I really was not doing well, especially after I had my first. And so I didn't expect that. So those are two completely different answers, feeling more comfortable in my body than ever before and also feeling more depressed and anxious than ever before. But I've been medicated now for a while, and that actually is a great segue into a question that I got that I really want to address because it's something that I dealt with. Any struggles with a low sex drive on SSRIs? I'm currently experiencing this. Sorry, you're experiencing that. I have experienced that too. So SSRI is like a class of drugs that are used to treat depression and anxiety. And I actually made an appointment with my provider specifically to discuss this issue because I was like, if I am never intimate again a day in my life, I would be fine because I was on this SSRI and I didn't feel like myself. But there are options. So you definitely want to talk to your doctor and be open about that. So what we ended up doing was cutting my dose in half to see if I could still, this was not directly postpartum, this was 6 to 8 months after I had Colin, cutting my dose in half, seeing if I still felt stable and wasn't falling back into those depressive and anxious thoughts while also feeling a little bit more like myself as far as having a sex drive. And it totally worked. Cutting it in half really worked for me. So that might be something to discuss. Everyone is different, so you definitely need to talk to your provider. Never make any changes like that just on your own, of your own volition. But having open conversations with your provider about that, that's a really important part of life. And so talk to your provider and let them know, like, this isn't working for me. What are the other options? Or is there anything else that I can try? But I'm sorry going through that because I've been through it too. And it makes everything that's already complicated even more complicated. I had a few questions about like fighting in our marriage. Have you and Riley ever had such a bad fight that neither of you were talking to each other? Yeah, we've been married for 8 years this summer. You bet we've had every kind of fight. We've had really healthy, fair fights where we've really expressed what we need and what we feel, and there's been no issues. The siren really adds to the ambiance of this question. And then we've had fights that were really nasty and went sideways, and we needed to take breaks and we needed to, step away from the situation. Now, we've never gone like days or even a day not speaking to each other, but we've definitely gone like a few hours where one of us will say, I'm gonna go take a drive, or I'm gonna go run some errands or whatever. Because the reality of life is that compromising on everything and building a life together and everything that goes with that, everything within the marriage relationship, everything with children, extended family, finances, if you want to travel, if you don't want to travel, what holidays look like, it's a lot. And there are just simply going to be times when you don't agree. And you both are holding steady to what you think is the right way to move forward, and you're not really seeing each other's side. So I think I have a lot of close friends who we, are very open with each other, and I've never heard of a couple who hasn't had some kind of knockdown, drag out fights. The key is for that not to be the norm. I think if that's not the norm, you're probably gonna be okay. But every once in a while, we just lose it. Everybody just loses it, It's okay. We can move through it though. This is an interesting question. She said, is there anything you regret doing in college? I dated one particular guy that I really regret dating. He was a total jerk, and there's so much to say about this relationship. But basically, he, now I know, totally love bombed me and told me that he was gonna marry me. He's never felt this way before. This was a short-term relationship, maybe 6 months, pretty short. And we went to the same school, and just love bombed me and told me how great I was. He was gonna marry me. He'd never felt this way before, all this nonsense. And I believed him. I was like, what? I don't know, 20 years old. And so I was like, oh my gosh, like this is so amazing. And I just like completely fell for him. And just as quickly as I fell for him, he was like, yeah, I'm done with all this. And looking back, there were a lot of red flags. And I wish I would have been less naive. Because it would have saved me a lot of heartbreak. It took me a while to get over that whole, people say the younger generation calls it a situationship, which it really was more of a situationship than a relationship, because he did not treat me well. I've been sharing about my laser hair removal journey on my Instagram subscribers stories. And so someone asked, where on your body are you getting laser hair removal? Which I think definitely qualifies for like a more personal Q&A. I am doing my underarms and I am doing Brazilian. So that's what I'm doing. And I have done it, I've done 2 sessions and I bought a package of 8, maybe 6 or 8 sessions, and it has been incredible. So the deal with laser hair removal is the darker your hair and the lighter your skin, the better results that you will have. And I have had such great results in both locations very, very, very quickly. So I don't even know if I'll need the full 6 or 8 sessions. This is something I've wanted to do for years and years and years, and it was like my post-weaning present to myself after I weaned Colin from nursing, because you can't do it while you're nursing, something with the hormones. So after I weaned Colin, I booked an appointment, and I've been going once a month, and I absolutely love it. I could probably do like a whole segment on this or talk more about this, but I will just say this. It is not painful at all. I thought it was going to be profoundly painful. I did not find it to be painful at all in any way. And the entire session takes 5 to 8 minutes. Those are the 2 biggest misconceptions that I had. I thought it would be excruciatingly painful and it would take a really long time, but neither of those are true. You literally go in, it's quick, and then you head on out. Really, really simple. Someone asked if I did pelvic floor therapy after babies. Yes, I did pelvic floor therapy after I had Nora. In between getting pregnant, I think I actually was pregnant with Colin when I was doing it. And then I did it again after Colin. If you are struggling with painful sex, incontinence, a heavy feeling like your organs are gonna fall out, weakness, back pain, you need to go see a pelvic floor physical therapist. It is so life-changing. I highly, 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 highly recommend it. It literally changed my life. I highly recommend it. I talked my sister into doing it and she was like, oh my gosh, this is so life-changing. So definitely recommend. Okay, I'm gonna do one more question. And someone said, would you do a new boudoir photo shoot for Riley? So if you don't know, I don't know if I've ever shared this on this channel. I definitely shared it on Instagram subscribers, but I didn't share pictures. I was just sharing the story that someone asked me what would be a good wedding gift for their husband. And I said, well, I did a boudoir photo shoot and gave Riley like the book of the photos on our wedding night. And it was so fun, so empowering. I loved it. And I would love to do another one at some point in our life. Our 10-year wedding anniversary is in a couple of years, so maybe I'll do that then. But super fun, something just private and intimate to do, for your partner. Like, I really enjoyed doing that. And it was, like I said, just really empowering. I really loved it. Getting in touch with your womanhood or whatever. And if you have a good photographer, like, she can make you look incredible no matter what your insecurities are. And I definitely found that to be true. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed a little bit more of a personal, juicy Q&A. Thanks again to Organic for sponsoring this video. I will link their products below if you're interested. Make sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on the bell for notifications. And I will see you guys next Sunday for a little bit more. I think maybe a weekly vlog. It's been a while. See you guys soon.